Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. One of the biggest stories in the LCS world today is this new Doublelift and TSM beef that is, I guess come out of nowhere. Again, it's a lot of information we already knew about, but now that it's getting very, very public and we're actually getting, to hear these stories from Doublelift, from Reggie, from all these people, DL took to his Twitch stream last night and just started going off about how he hates TSM, hates Reggie, hopes they never find any success, yada, yada, yada. And now Reggie has responded with a Reddit post, a very, very long Reddit post where he gives his side of the stories and goes very, very into detail. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Make sure you guys do check out the first link in the description below for my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/I_am_Germ. I would appreciate it a ton if you guys went and checked it out. Maybe dropped a follow, maybe a prime, maybe a sub. We've been streaming a lot over there, a lot of awesome, fun content, hanging out, talking League of Legends. But yeah, with that being said, let's get right into this. See what Reggie has to say about his half of the story, because this stuff is super, super juicy, and this is, a nice long post where we get some bangers. So Reggie does say, thoughts on Doublelift. He says, "Hi all, there's obviously a lot of attention on Doublelift's feelings about TSM. Unfortunately, he has chosen a public venue to air this negativity." Man, this is going to get good. He's already saying, unfortunately, and, some stuff like that. He wanted to make a post to share full transparency as to why we made some of our decisions around Doublelift and rosters in the past. Peter, Doublelift, is a good player and one of the best players of all time in North America. Although he is a strong player and leader inside the game, he is very challenging to work with. So the 2020 offseason, this is obviously where it all starts. Going into the 2020 offseason, Bjergsen retired. After hearing the news, DL was unsure whether he wanted to continue to play. Therefore, we considered many options about what the future of TSM would look like, and our intention and strategy was to rebuild our team. After a few days passed, he reached out and changed his mind and told us that if we were to sign Power of Evil and any good support, no matter what language they spoke, seems oddly specific, I don't know. Like I said, there's two sides, or there's three sides to every story. There's going to be DL's side, Reggie's side, and the truth. So don't fully believe what DL says, but also do not fully believe what Reggie says. Is this what Doublelift said? Is it not? Who knows for sure? We probably will never know. But he says that Doublelift said no matter what language they speak, any good support player, and he would play. Otherwise, he wanted to look at other teams or retire. Because we still wanted to work with DL, we decided to commit to a strong roster that he wanted to play with rather than using the year to rebuild. Now Reggie's kind of shifting the blame for how things have gone, saying, hey, maybe even hinting at like, hey, I wanted to rebuild, or I thought it was the right move to rebuild, but instead we wanted to keep Doublelift happy. We wanted to make another run for it in 2021. We went out and got Power of Evil. Now, do I fully believe that? Probably not, but that's what Reggie's saying. It just seems like he's using this as an awesome opportunity to try and control the narrative, maybe shift some blame and stuff. But he's saying, that's why they got Power of Evil, apparently, was all because of Doublelift. So he does say that they committed to signing PoE and a substantial budget. We were looking to sign Huni, and also we were looking to sign good support players such as Lehends, Sword Art, Palette, or other Korean supports. As the offseason went on, the conversations with Sword Art were going well, and they were deep in negotiations. They were negotiating with Sword Art. They did tell DL that there was a possibility that it wouldn't happen, and that he may have to play with Palette or a different Korean support as plan B, or just, backup options or whatever. Eventually, they did hit a snag, and they were concerned that there was a high possibility that the Sword Art deal might not happen. At this time, we reached out to Doublelift and told him about the other potential options, including Palette and other players in Korea. Doublelift then expressed that he didn't want to play with a non-English speaking player, including our Korean options, even though he was okay with such a roster earlier. He explicitly stated that he may not be as motivated if we had him play in a roster that didn't meet his standard or was not a fully English-speaking roster. This was in November when every other 80 carry was locked, and they were 4 hours away from transferring Lost to EG. So that's a very, very interesting piece as well. There is a world where Evil Geniuses could have ended up with Lost. Lost could have never been on TSM. We were very, very close. Apparently just 4 hours away from that happening. And obviously with how everything ended up going, TSM ended up getting a pretty solid roster, and it wouldn't have been that bad in the end for TSM to have Doublelift, Sword Art, and this whole gang. But yeah, this is how it happened. It is extremely discouraging for both staff and players to work with someone who's constantly ambivalent about whether he wants to play or retire. That part, I totally agree with Reggie. That is something we know. Bjergsen had issues with Doublelift in the past when he wanted to go stream and then come back and play, and then he says Spring Split doesn't matter, and then he wants to go hard, and all of his goals are about, finding international success, but also, he's kind of wishy-washy and wants to take breaks and needs time off and all this. So that I totally do understand and think is a very, very fair criticism coming from Reggie. He Also says, therefore, all of our staff and players collectively decided to commit to Lost. After a long negotiation process, we subsequently were able to secure Sword Art. Peter also has this misconception that he was replaced by both times solely by me, but in reality the decision is made collectively by the players and staff he works with day to day. Even after Sword Art committed to TSM, we collectively thought that committing to Lost was the best decision at the moment, as building around a developing player rather than a player that constantly flip-flops on wanting to play would be better for TSM in the long run. Now again, that's very debatable. Obviously, Lost didn't end up working out. Obviously, TSM was very, very close to being good in 2021, and maybe they were just a double lift away. I don't know. But I do understand wanting to build around a young player, but obviously Lost didn't necessarily end up being that guy. So that was kind of a swing and a miss there. But at least he is explaining it a little bit, which I think is really, really cool. I had no ill will, nor am I frustrated at him specifically for being indecisive, because choosing your career and where you spend is a really important decision, but I need to prioritize TSM's best interests long-term and move on. I hope this is a learning lesson for Peter, as he's gone through this several times in his career. He is clearly the best, or one of the best players in his role ever to play in North America, but despite his skill, he is difficult to work with, and his teammates and staff on multiple teams in the past have chosen to remove him because of it. He needs to understand that every spot is earned, not guaranteed, and that's, a lot of bangers there. Reggie's definitely coming with the heat. He also said 2021. So why is he publicly speaking out against TSM now in this very offseason? I'm assuming it's upset because we were not interested in working with him, which is hilarious. This is him saying that Doublelift obviously wants to come back, and maybe Doublelift was assuming he would be able to come back and slide into the TSM roster again if he came back and was like, hey guys, now I'm actually back. I'm actually ready to go. But again, Reggie saying, hey man, we're not interested in working with you. And maybe this is why Doublelift decided to take to Twitch. He was exploring options, and we were not interested in working with him for these reasons. He's always changing his mind on whether he wants to play or retire. His teammates and coaches don't like working with him. I wonder who that is, because right now, TSM lost Curry, TSM lost Bjergsen, so they don't have much of a coaching staff. Coaching staff is just Kays and Peter Zhang, and the players at this point are just Huni and Spica, so Huni and Spica don't like him. Kays and Peter Zhang don't like him. I don't know if I fully believe that. It seems like Peter and Spica get along pretty well. I don't know how his relationship is with the coaches and stuff, obviously. And this is obviously a big one. If he doesn't like you or doesn't agree with your decision-making, he flames you publicly, which that just seems like, Reggie. But whatever. Overall, I'm disappointed in this whole situation, as I already thought we moved on from working with Peter last year, and I didn't know choosing to not work with him this year would result in this post and his feedback about TSM on stream. Either way, even if my assumptions aren't true, there's no reason why he should be flaming us publicly for not wanting to work with him for the 2020-2021 LCS season for the stated reasons in this post. In conclusion, we will start taking steps to part ways with Doublelift, which is very, very funny, because obviously in the Doublelift clips, he was talking about, yeah, even though I stream for TSM and I'm talking shit about him right now, I can still continue to do it because I make them a lot of money. And obviously Reggie thinks otherwise, so it does seem like Doublelift will be getting removed from the TSM organization, which is pretty crazy, pretty funny. That's going to make him a free agent, and a very coveted free agent at that, in terms of even as a player, but as a content creator as well. He did tweet out after Reggie decided to drop this bomb on Reddit, practicing my burger flip tonight. Anyone want to join? So it does look like TSM and DL will be parting ways, obviously on very, very bad terms. But man, spicy comments from Doublelift, spicy responses from Reggie. These aren't off-season moves, rumors, anything like that. It does confirm that Doublelift is trying to return to pro play and that TSM's not interested, obviously. But some very, very unexpected stories coming out. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate it so, so much. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this whole DL Reggie mess? Who do you think's right? Who do you think's wrong? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, save today, and all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!